What's up, Facebook Live family and friends? Elliot Andre, the head therapist, is here on a very comfy couch with two wonderful people. Guess what? It's the 40th episode, people. Thank you so much for your support, tuning in. Cassie's here celebrating with us as well. We are super stoked she's here and participating. Before we get started, if you all could, introduce yourselves, tell people who you are and what you do and how you separate yourself from the pack, that'd be great.
I'm Dr. Navit I'm a chiropractor in Boulder, and how I separate from the pack. Consider myself a vitalistic practitioner, and that basically means enhancing the way that the body works through chiropractic adjustments. So it's not just like fixing the issue at hand, but it's actually upgrading your entire system with the work that we do, which is pretty cool. So it affects everything in your body. We also work with yoga as therapy. It's like a form of physical therapy, but it's through yoga postures and sequences. And we do food as medicine as well, which is kind of based on like functional medicine, but it's healing the gut and all of that with just whole food nutrition. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome. You sold me, so I'm happy. Where do I sign up? Awesome. How about you, Doc?
Yeah, Dr. Gary Wilson. I work with Dr. Navit Zuckerman. Our practice is EVOL.V Chiropractic. Aside from the things that Navit mentioned that set us apart, I'd say that patients often tell both of us that we're gentler than other people in practicing, and that we're also more specific. Usually people's adjustments feel broader on most people, and we're very specific about how we go about it. So that's how I'd say what separates us.
Again, sign me up. Sounds great. I've only had really terrible experiences with chiropractors. So thumbs up out there. I mean, not really thumbs up, but thumbs up so we can see if you've ever had a terrible experience with the chiropractor like I have, because it's really bad. So thank you both for being here. Super stoked. Yeah. Again, 40th episode. Let's get into it.
Woo-hoo.
So you said you work together. Can we insinuate that you are a couple then?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
All right. Well, tell us about what that's been like working as a couple in business.
It's been really good for the most part. I mean, obviously we have our issues and troubles like every couple does, both in the business and outside of the business. But for the most part, it's like a creative process that we kind of get to embark on together, which has been really cool. I think the hardest part is to not work all the time, right? Because like even when you're hanging out having dinner together, all of a sudden like you'll have an idea pop up in your head and you want to talk about it, but it's like, well, we need to kind of separate the two, right?
Sure.
But we love our work so much that it never really feels like a lot of work. And so even when we are talking about all that stuff, when we're just hanging out, it's a fun process. It feels like we're kind of just playing in the field, which is really cool. So for the most part, it's been really good. We just have to be really kind of cautious and aware of our time management and making sure that we separate sometimes so that we can have fun as a couple together without actually working, right?
Sure. How's it been for you guys?
Pretty much the same. I think Navit and I are both pretty lucky that we have a lot of the same interests, which is mostly centered around healthy living and active living and really getting out there and exploring all things which we, tell our patients all the time that it's important to get out and do the things you love. And so Navit and I try to bring a lot of that into our practice with us. And I think we're very compatible like that. So we're lucky. That's not to say it doesn't come without challenges. You eat, sleep, breathe your work when you own your own business, and your business partner's right there with you the whole step of the way. So
impossible to get away from each other, really.
Yeah.
Exactly. Unlike other most other couples where you go away all day long and you do your work and then you come home and you might tell your significant other about what's been going on, but they're not really directly involved. This is, everything is just right there. So. But we're also very aware of that. So, and we chose it willingly and knew this before we ever started, getting serious with one another. So, so we don't mind it. So.
And just to add on to that, like we make a pretty conscious effort to support each other, right? And I think that that's the biggest thing is to communicate and support, no matter what's coming up, whether it's good or bad, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like you've definitely struck up a good balance, yin and yang, we'll say.
Yeah.
For our people out there who know what that means. I mean, I get it. I'm in business with my wife as well, so life can be stressful, yet it's amazing to have both parties on the same page with some expectations, differences, whatever you want to call it, still work it out in the end, and you have each other to support. So that's incredible. And,
Right.
and I don't know if either of your parents, if they're living or what have you, but we're involved in family business as well. But I think that's one thing that Laura and I learned from our families was that we both have sets of parents who have both been in family business for many, many years together. So that modeled for us how beautiful it could be, really.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's awesome.
yes, it's been great.
Mm.
So let's talk about this idea of travel and how that's influenced your practice, how you are where you are now, and how that transpired over the years.
Yeah, sure. Both Gary and I have kind of been big travelers our entire lives. We've both spent like large amounts of time in other countries, whether we were in college or post-college or whatever it was in our young adult lives. Like we were always into traveling. I grew up traveling. I think Gary did too. And so most recently we did a big 9-month stint in Southeast Asia, mostly in India, where we actually got a chance to bring our work to Southeast Asia, which was really cool. So we traveled with our tables and set up a bunch of kind of temporary clinics everywhere we went. And we went all over, which was really cool, and got to work on all kinds of people. And kind of we supported the traveler community, which is really huge in Southeast Asia, as I'm sure some of you know. But also we got to work on a lot of the locals that didn't have access to anything like chiropractic care, or that didn't have maybe a chance to get to a more holistic type of healing, right? And we got to see some really cool things happen while we were there in these people's bodies, which was really awesome. So it was a really incredible experience. We learned a lot. We feel really grateful for being able to bring our work to other people, because they were all really excited about having access to that kind of thing. And we were able to bring those experiences back into our work here too, which is really awesome. So it was really rewarding, and adventure is always amazing, right? No matter what. And sometimes that's good adventure and bad adventure, but either way, it's always fun. And we look forward to doing more things like that in the future, definitely.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's every day that you can really take your practice out to other places in the world. And I think for you two to both do that together and experience travel and enjoy that time together and give to the community is just badass. So really, Gary, how was it for you when you were over there in Southeast Asia?
Pretty awesome. As Navit mentioned when she first started speaking there about this subject, we both have done a lot of travel, and this was the first time that either of us had done travel where it had this element of our work in it, and it totally changed the whole perspective on what it means to travel. And it was really cool to go, as to reiterate what Navit said, just to be able to take care of people. Actually, in a place like India, chiropractic is not very well known yet. It's happening, but it's happening really slowly. At the time that we were there were only about 12 licensed chiropractors in the entire country of 1 billion people.
Holy shit.
1.2 billion people. And so when we went, we were really welcomed with open arms, especially some of the mission trips that we did. We did 3 mission trips while we were there, and it was just unbelievable. And then we did a bunch of clinics on our own too while we were traveling around, and it was amazing because, here in the United States, especially in, hot spots like Boulder, Denver, Bay Area, California, there's a chiropractor on every block.
Sure.
So you don't feel that special, but in India, you feel real special as a chiropractor because you're rare. You're very rare. So we were very desired. People, once we got our name out there, people were like, "Oh my God, there's a chiropractor in town." So, or 2 rather.
Right.
So it was pretty awesome. We got busy pretty fast.
Yeah.
That was a pretty neat feeling to feel like you were doing something that not a lot of other people are doing. So.
Yeah, I mean, that itself. I mean, you're setting yourself up, to be in a place where only 12 in 1 billion people. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
The amount of gusto you can have going there and really doing something well and getting people to follow you in this journey. And I think it says a lot about you two together, working together, but also just about the work that you do. So let's talk about your work. Let's really dive deep into what it looks like, because it's holistic. It's, how you set yourself apart, totally different than what I've ever heard in my life in terms of the gut and the this and that. So let's really dive in and let our followers and viewers know out there, how you really are making a difference in the chiropractic world, because that's what I'm hearing. Like, it's not just, you're not just another chiropractor couple, you know, like you're like legit. So let's talk about it some more.
So basically, like I mentioned before, we're vitalistic chiropractors, and that means not just enhancing the way that the body works, but also working with the body as a whole, right? The body, mind, and soul, right? Because all of these factors contribute to health, right? You can't have a really healthy physical body and be sick mentally and be a healthy person, right? Or vice versa. Or not be fulfilled in your soul and expect to have a happy life, or any of those things, right? So we really work with all of these spectrums and see the body as a whole, which, you know, holistic practices, right? But when you work with the nervous system on the level that we do, you start to affect all of the other systems in the body. So it's like the nervous system is the main operating system of the body, right? It's actually the first thing to develop when a baby is being made, right? So it's the brain and the spinal cord that get developed first. After that, everything else gets made, right? So it's the first thing to come into existence in the physical realm. And that's essentially what we work on. And when you're taking interference off of the nervous system, the body has this innate ability to heal itself, right? And a lot of us kind of have forgotten what that's like. You know, a lot of people look to medicine to heal their symptoms, or they don't know how to eat well at all. They just like eat whatever's easy or what's fast, right? Or cheap, whatever it is, right? Without knowing exactly how it's affecting the body. And this can be said for a lot of the choices that we make in our lives, right? When we're choosing to maybe be on our cell phones all the time instead of going outside, or et cetera, right? You kind of know what I'm talking about. But we in our practice, we not only help the person feel better, right? But we upgrade all of the systems that are working in the body. So detoxification is working better, digestion is working better, all of the connection of how everything's communicating is working better. But we also help to bring people back to themselves, right? And to remember how powerful they are in their own bodies when it comes to healing, and when it comes to being happy, and when it comes to actually doing what they want to do in life, and having the belief in themselves to be able to do that, right? Because now their body's not getting in the way, or their brain fog's not getting in the way, or whatever it is, right? So we help remove the obstacles in their nervous system, but also in their lives, so that they can truly just live and be free in that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Gary, what would you say would be the most common thing that people come in for in a sense if they're going to seek chiropractic care from you?
Probably the same thing that most people come in for chiropractic care for initially, back pain, you know,
Sure.
Back or neck pain. That's usually what most people come in for. But you know, we try to emphasize less on the pain aspect and more on functionality and lifestyle. You know, we try to get to the root of the problem. Like, all right, you know, instead of you just being out of pain, like, we want to get you to a point where like you can pick up your grandkids and still feel a sense of joy around that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like framing the situation in a different kind of context in terms of lifestyle. So yeah, we get all the same people. I mean, sometimes we get people that have like more of an emotional thing, or just some people have anxiety, or just some people come in just because they want to have better posture. But you know, we definitely fall statistically in the same boat, I would say, about the same types of people that come and seek us. But you know, like I said, we like to emphasize the simple things in life. You know, I think a lot of other chiropractors will if you're getting into like nutrition, they'll want to push a bunch of pills on you or something like that. Not like pain pills, but like, you know, pills that have vitamins and minerals in them.
For your gut and everything.
Yeah, and I don't think we have anything against that at all. But I think what what makes us a little different is that we try to steer people's attention more towards the simple things in life. Like, have you tried eating organic food? We have this great recipe for you. You know, like, well, it's laughable, but like,
no, it's not laughable at all. I love it.
It's true.
I'm like
right?
excited.
Like people need to get back to the basics.
Yes.
And I think we try to bring that to the forefront of people, and so I think that's where the angle that we come in from with as far as you know, food as medicine goes. Let's
So
get back
true,
to
though.
organic. Let's start eating fresh food. Let's have a connection with our food. And same thing with, yoga as therapy, which we do. Like, let's get back to movement. We don't need to stick you on a fancy machine, but we need to teach you, maybe how to do a certain exercise, right, or something like that. So that's something that we emphasize as well. So, yeah.
I mean, you're bringing that holistic approach into it with everything and all the expertise that you have, which I feel like, again, is so interesting and cool about your practice, because it seems like you're really wanting to get to know these people and really providing that support rather than just let me come in, crack your back and get you the hell out of my office. It's like, let's talk about why and what we can do going forward. And I really appreciate that. As a crack addict, they call them on YouTube. I usually just watch the guys who are just like ripping people's heads off, and you don't see the actual essence of like what this actually looks like in their life after the fact. But what I'm hearing from you both is that it's just more than that, obviously, and I think that's something I think we can all appreciate. So, talking about our practice really quickly and how we deal with a lot of people with anxiety, depression, kind of like your, I don't want to say standard, but kind of like your typical things, like you're saying, people come in with a back issue or what have you. How would you treat somebody, with anxiety or with depression, with more than just an adjustment in that regard?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it's kind of this series of adjustments, and this goes into a little deeper into chiropractic, so it might be a little bit out there, right? But
no, we like that.
There is a difference between just moving a bone and reconnecting the entire system, and oftentimes anxiety happens when the system's not connected and the body knows, right? And so because there's this disconnection from either yourself or the outside world or whatever it is, all of a sudden there's this fear and anxiety that arises, right? So when you start getting reconnected in the body, which is through the work that we do, right? But we can also talk about it and maybe implement some meditations of reconnection and maybe some yoga postures to allow you to feel what's actually happening in your body, right? Yoga is all about bringing awareness into the system. And so even just through a simple pose, if you do one single pose, and if you're doing it the right way and you're having somebody talk to you through what's happening, you can start to bring awareness into these subtleties that are happening in the body. And then all of a sudden your brain turns on, right? And all of a sudden there's more connection in your system. And all of a sudden you're feeling more calm, right? And you're feeling more like at peace with the people around you and maybe what's happening around you. So, I mean, it depends on the situation, right? It's different for everybody, and we kind of cater it to the individual, right? But it can have all these different elements that come into it to reconnect the individual to themselves, essentially.
When you're saying that, I'm connecting to it because, I wish my chiropractor at the moment would have said, like, let's think about how your connections are happening rather than just focusing on the pain.
Exactly.
So to me, that's like a ding, ding, ding red flag. Like, hell yes, this is cool. And I think what you're describing is something that I think a lot of my clients would absolutely benefit from.
Awesome.
Because I think they get into a place where they're like, well, I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried that. And it's like, well, I never even thought about chiropractor. A chiropractor is somebody that can help relieve anxiety based on connection rather than anything else. So thank you.
Yeah,
That's
you're welcome.
Seriously. Yes. Awesome. So how would you treat then somebody, who came in with like a gut issue in regards of chiropractic work?
Okay, so, well, I mean, there's from the adjustment standpoint, we would obviously adjust them. Your thoracics, which is your mid-back, is connected to a lot of the organs of digestion, and so we want to make sure that that's nice and adjusted and in the correct anatomical position. So from that point of view, and then gut issues are obviously it's a complex subject.
Sure.
So looking at it from like a stress point of view, we want to get people to, people can't digest food very well if they're constantly in what we call a sympathetic state, which is fight or flight mode. And so we want to get them more into parasympathetic mode. An adjustment will help that, but also getting people in touch with their breath and getting them to slow down their way of thinking not only helps with digestion, but also helps with anxiety, which is what we were just talking about. Getting people to be aware of what's actually happening with their breathing. So on that level, and then we also try to deal with the problem from what's actually going on in the gut. So we talk a lot about probiotic health with people. We know how to make fermented foods and teach people how to make fermented foods.
Wait, sorry to interrupt. Did you do like a class about that?
We have done classes about it.
Please do that again.
Okay, yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
So we do classes at Natural Grocers sometimes in
Nice.
Boulder. Where we teach people how to make sauerkraut, taught people how to make kefir in the past. Ghee is another really good thing that's not fermented, but it could be from cultured butter, but it's very good for the gut. Yeah, we're thinking about doing one on bone broth eventually. Bone broth is very healing for the gut. So, we speak to that, whether we're doing a talk or whether we're just dealing with patients. We're bringing light and awareness to these things. Gut inflammation plays a huge role in not being able to digest food properly. So getting people more well acquainted with foods that are anti-inflammatory foods, or avoiding foods that are inflammatory. A lot of people don't know this stuff, and we're constantly learning about it too, but we always share that. We always make sure to share that with our patients that have digestive issues.
So
yeah.
I ask because personally my digestive tract is terrible. So it's always that. It's the first original time that I went to the chiropractor. I was like, I have extreme acid reflux, and he was like, well, let's talk about what we're eating and this and that, and like not really adjusting me in the way that I felt like. Again, I know shit, but appropriate to what like was helpful. And I went to him like 5-6 times, and he's like, you got to do the plan. And I'm like, I do. Like, I'm gonna give you like $1,000 to do this, and I want to see some results. So I did, and I still obviously struggle. So it was to the point where it was like, okay, what did I just do this for? And just kind of doubting the practice or whatever. So to know that you both, are versed in so many things in terms of what that looks like, anxiety, gut issues. I think so many people could benefit from that. Absolutely. Which I appreciate because we need that. We need more holistic bone crackers. What do you consider? Like, what do you call yourselves? Right? I mean, you're just chiropractic badasses.
Definitely.
Yeah, we love that one.
Right? People come in, they're like, "You're gonna hurt me," and really, realistically, you're gonna feel so much better.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. So let's talk about India a little bit more because I also have been there and spent a good amount of time.
Awesome.
I was there for 2 months in 2009 and fell in love with it, obviously. So what was it like getting off that plane, having your chiropractic tables with you, and just going into the community? Like, let's talk culture shock. Let's talk language barrier. Let's talk all that because I think people are really interested to know how you incorporated your travel experience even more so into what you're doing now.
Totally. So I had been there before, so it wasn't my first time. I went there, maybe like 8 years ago. For 9 months.
Cool. I need to make the lighting better because it's pissing up.
Okay, cool.
Keep on going. Keep on talking. Okay. Keep on talking.
I went there for like 8 months, and I was there traveling by myself, more of just like plain travel. But the entire time that I was there, I was like, I need to come back here with chiropractic work. And this was like before I went to school, right? And so I was like, I need to come back with the work. I need to do this here. And then Gary and I met when we were both in school together, and we talked about going to India together. And so we decided to do this kind of service trip, so to speak, of our own, where we're setting up the clinics all over the place. But when we arrived as part of this huge service trip that our school and the alumni of our school are a part of in India. And it's this giant 4-day event that they put on. I mean, this is like millions and millions of people from all over the country come to this thing. And, everywhere you look, there's just like tents all over the place, right?
That's so cool.
It's based on a guru who is in India, and this is her organization. And they do a lot of really amazing work for a lot of people. But this event is kind of this place where anyone can come from any way of life, whether they have money or they don't, whether they have family or they don't, or anything, right? They can show up and they get fed for 4 days by these giant vats of dal and rice that are the size of a hot tub, basically. Yeah. So it's like homemade food from scratch, right? So they're eating well, and free medical care of any kind. So there's dentists, there's doctors, there's an intensive care unit, there's acupuncturists, and there's chiropractors. And so we came as part of the chiropractic part. And that's initially how we arrived this time around. And so, I mean, Gary can probably speak more to what his first initial experience was of all the other stuff, because I was like, I knew what to expect, right? I missed the smell.
Sure.
I missed the feeling of the people. I missed the colors of the culture and all of that. But Gary can talk about more of the shock value of that whole thing. So take it away, Gary.
Yeah. Yeah, it was shock value is definitely the phrase for it. Up until I'd gone to India, I had lived in Europe for a little while and traveled around Europe. And I lived in Australia, New Zealand, and these are established places with lots of westernized culture. India just flipped it all upside down. Gosh, when I first got there, the first thing you notice is the smells. It depends on which corner you're peering around. The smell could be terrible 1 second, and then these amazing smells of cooking coming out of a restaurant or someone's home the next minute. Tons of people, like more people than I ever seen, and just trash everywhere. Like we landed in Delhi, and there was just trash everywhere. It's so weird. I mean, I think they're starting to come around with cleanliness as far as like not throwing plastic and trash on the ground, but it's weird because like after several months I got used to it, but like it took me several weeks to get used to it when I was there.
Me too.
Yeah, it's weird. Like it's not for the faint at heart. You have to want India to go to India, and if you don't want it, it'll spit you out like really fast. Yeah, but one of the things that was most amazing to me and most shocking to me, and I don't know if this happened to you too when you first went, but I felt like a movie star when I went there. Like,
sure.
All come up to you.
Absolutely.
And it's like you went in 2009. I don't know if they were doing selfies then, but everybody comes up there like selfies. And like for the first week, you're like, oh my god, this is cool. And then after that, you're like, I can't anymore. Like leave me alone.
Yes.
I think what's sad about that is that underneath all that, I think Indian people are like they're the most warmest. They want to be friends with you.
The most.
And unfortunately, the way that it expresses itself in this technologically advanced world is they just want to document you, and it just comes off as kind of annoying, unfortunately.
Right.
But so yeah, that was definitely one of the biggest huge shockers while I was there. Food was obviously different and amazing. It's like you don't call it Indian food, you just call it food when you're there. But
food there is magical.
It is. As long as you don't get
Sick.
Poison. Yeah,
Right.
So that happened to us a few times.
Me too.
Quite a few times. So,
It's kind of a given when you go there. It's part of the experience.
Yeah, that's what I was
you know
saying.
you really made it. You can't stick and come out on the other side. You know.
Absolutely.
It's like you've been
Gotta
properly
push it.
initiated.
Right, literally.
You can make it past that
Right.
point.
Yeah. That and, the amount of people. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so overwhelming.
It's
I remember.
so
I was like, where am I?
And like traveling through, because we had our tables with us, right? Like a backpack, like normal people, we also had our tables with us. And so traveling through India with all of that
on the trains,
on a train, and trying to make your buses or figure out where your buses are, or figure out if your bus is on time or if it's just not coming at all. It's like it's complete and total chaos.
It is. It's not very organized, but it's beautiful at the same time.
There's something amazing about it, and it almost like allows you to kind of dip into the magic of the country because it's so chaotic, right? So you're just kind of in the flow all the whole time. You're just like floating down this river the whole time that you're there, and you never know where it's going to take you. But being able to practice our work there also was in that space, so it was really, really amazing. You see results in India like you don't see in the United States, because there's so much faith there in the people, in a higher power, and in the power of healing, essentially, because they believe in this higher power, right? So they believe in their own bodies to heal. And even though when somebody's helping them heal or showing them how to heal, whatever it is, that there's miracles left and right there, where in the United States, it's like everybody questions, right? Is this right? Is it enough? Am I getting screwed? Like all of that. So there's a really interesting element of faith that comes into healing too, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if either of you were able to like go and go on hikes or go like really far up north Himalayas or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did.
Good, perfect. So you'll get this. That that was the most tranquil and calm I'd ever been in my life. Was waking up every morning in a tent on a path in the Himalayas. Greatest experience and feeling ever. People just need to go and experience that to really, I think, understand. Yet, I don't know. That I'll never forget.
You're on top of the world.
Literally on top of the world.
Absolutely.
Literally, it's the greatest feeling. It's so beautiful to see.
Very much so.
And how everybody there, and for the most part, any people that I interacted with were just so like in that same moment. Like we're here, and this is us. And even in like when it's raining, it's monsooning, and you're almost dying. Like it doesn't matter. It's so still amazing. Because they're like, oh, well, the next day is gonna be better. And I'm like, you are the guru of all gurus. I don't believe in that, but it worked out well. It's like I have a halo on my head. This lighting is so bad, but it's okay. It's great company. Awesome.
Insanely.
Facts, of course. So before we wrap on up, Gary, Navit, tell people how to find you, where you're located, and the best way to get in contact with you.
Sure. Yeah. So we are located in Boulder. We are at 2401 Broadway, and let's see, our number is 720-295-4188, and you can find us at our website. I think it's listed on there somewhere on the side, but it's www.evolvechiropractic.com. After Evolve, it's EVOL.V, no E, so just Evolve Chiropractic. I'll take you somewhere else if you put the E on there. So, that's how you find us. Anything to add to that?
I'm sure if you're in Boulder that you've seen the building that we're in. It's that like really curvy white spaceship, futuristic looking thing on the corner of Maxwell and Broadway.
It's a great building.
So if you've ever wondered what's inside,
come check it out.
But we'd love to hear from you guys, and if you have any questions, definitely shoot them our way. You can find our email addresses and everything on there as well.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much, both of you. This has been extremely informative and super awesome. Head Therapist is out. I'll catch you all later.
Bye.